at 2. So surprisingly enough, let's get into the conversation, what we're going to be talking about right about now. So basically, we're going to be covering a story, okay? And these are 2 videos that was posted on the Basement Office, and that's by Stephen Greenstreet. I want you to, we're going to talk about it today and tomorrow, and then we'll get into some of our UFO Friday, which is the unfiltered opinions, but that'll be the second wave of that show tomorrow. But this is a part 2 video. So this is part 1 we're talking about tonight, video 1, Skinwalker Ranch, and there will be part 2 tomorrow. So give you an opportunity. It's about 24 minutes. Go back and look at that particular videos that you're going to check out. Okay. And this is done by 2 people who star in it. One is a dear friend of mine. And then the other, we are potentially going to have him an interview on the show, which is Stephen Greenstreet. And Nick Pope is one that I say is a friend of mine. And this particular 2-part series, and as of all Stephen Greenstreet's things he's done lately as an investigator reporter, open up a whole can of worms, okay? And I'm not BSing you around when I say a whole can of worms, okay? And please, you're going to hear a few things tonight that I'm just going to give you some overview points. My encouragement is that you go watch the freaking video, part 1, and watch part 2, because we're going to discuss part 2 tomorrow, okay, at 8 o'clock, not 7 o'clock. We'll be here at 8 o'clock. And I'm telling you that this is, you know what, let's just get to the point here. It all boils back down to the book I was just talking about at the end of the day, and many, many books out there. I mean, there's tons of books that are written on Skinwalker Ranch, tons of them, hundreds probably, okay? And we're going to talk about that whole phenomena once we get down to this video. But again, I want to focus on the book that I just bought, the one that I bought, Skinwalker at Pentagon, and George Knapp himself is part of that. So we're going to get into these 2 videos, all right? We're only going to focus on part 1 tonight. So let's set it up. So there was a conversation between Stephen Greenstreet and Nick Pope, okay? And they was having a conversation about Skinwalker Ranch. Now, if you haven't seen it, Stephen Greenstreet, again, is an investigative reporter. And you see the title down here, Did They Lie? And I'm not talking about did Stephen and Nick Pope lie, because that could be a question that somebody could ask. I'm talking about the Skinwalker phenomena, period. Yeah, you heard me. The whole Skinwalker tale is now being put up to subject of a whole big giant hoax. Yep, quote this, put it out there. You heard me say it because I heard them say it. I listened to it, and the guy provided the facts. I'm going to give you some of the facts tonight, but I encourage you to go watch his whole thing because he's real thorough, gives you the timelines of this whole thing and how at the end of the day, it's possible. I'm going to use the word, or allegedly, I'm going to use the word, that we've been taking for the biggest ride of history when it comes down to this. Now, that's just my stand. I feel that way after watching the videos. Somebody's going to come back and debunk whatever they said, and oh my God, I'll be glad to hear that one, okay? So if you just joined us, we're talking about Skinwalker Ranch. We're talking about it could be the big lie of this year, okay? Forget the big secret keepers, the government, and everything else. And I told y'all before, though, I've said it before. There's been stories in the past where we've had these people who's out front in this UFO thing that they all had put these narratives together. And what I found out myself, and this is just me, and hopefully the crew will tell you what they think a little later on into the show, but the whole point is a lot of this stuff is unverifiable, okay? Simply unverifiable. Even when people call me and say, Roderick, I seen this, or I go to the MUFON and I'm a UFO investigator and I'm going through and you looking at the reports, they do provide the evidence, okay? They do provide evidence. And so therefore they at least allow me to do my investigative work, okay? Now, here's the deal. And I think at this point, outside of true things that are happening on Skinwalker Ranch, all the things that's been reported, all the shows that's been done, all the documentaries that have been done, all the books that have been written. I now, when I heard Stephen Greenstreet talking to Nick Pope, and he said, there is no evidence. We haven't seen anything, not anything definitive from Skinwalker Ranch. And I got to thinking like, oh, sugar honey iced tea. You know, he may be right. And I'm saying, wait a minute. And I'm like, have I been scammed, or have anybody else been scammed? And at first I'm saying to myself, hell no. It can't be true. It cannot be true. This cannot have gone down like this. Okay. But then once I got to watching that video, and I asked myself, Roderick, and sometimes I talk to myself, I hope you do too, but I usually don't answer myself to create that conversation, but I do get these visualizations sometimes. And I'm like, Roderick, you have just bought this book, Skinwalker Ranch. You've been watching this for years. You may have been taken on a journey. Do you think you have? You damn right. So let's get down to it. I'm at this point where that's what I feel about this thing. Okay. So it's like, once again, the journey starts out with Nick Pope saying something that I don't think any of you paid attention to. And if you have, you put it in the chat, because I'm going to give you your kudos. Okay. Nick Pope said something right here. Here's a problem from history. Only oral history. And he went in to say, because the Navajos back then didn't have a written language. Okay. They didn't. So therefore, everything was told through the campfire, the storytellers, and I'm not going to get into the visions of the Skinwalker itself. You can go Google that and look that up. But he said that it's oral. Once again, let me put that back up. He says only oral history, and what he meant by that, I'm glad you asked, is that even though the tales of the crypts of Skinwalker has been passed down from generation to generation to generation to generation to generation to generation, and all of a sudden to Roderick Martin, and he went out and bought all these darn books, there has been no evidence. And I started to think about this well-written book. And because I'm a picture guy, there was no pictures of nothing in here. And I never paid attention to it reading this thing. Okay? Never. But fascinated by the writing in the book. And never questioned to ask, where are the photographs? Okay? Because it's the same thing everybody asks me. Have you seen any aliens? Have you seen any proof? You're an investigator, whatever you know, blah, blah, blah. And I'm honest and say, no, I haven't seen an alien, but I've seen pictures, and I have tagged some things as not man-made and UFOs, unidentified flying objects, or UAPs. But I ain't never seen a alien. And maybe I have, because it could look like us, right? We talked about it. Go look at that in some other videos. But in this case, though, I have not seen evidence. And if you've seen some evidence from Skinwalker outside of the visual graphics, green screen effect stuff that we've seen in some of these shows, or outside of the, oh, damn, shit, oh, look at that, oh, that kind of stuff. But I'm talking about some physical pictures. All right, yeah, we've seen a few things. You know, they may make these things up, but I'm saying the stories. But so this whole thing with the basement office is that he had done some investigative reporting, and he's now typically saying this thing has been a hoax, and it's grew to a big thing. And there are some originators who started this thing, and we're going to cover that right now. And so the history of this thing was Skinwalker Ranch was owned by this particular family, the Myers family, back in 1933 to 1995. Okay. And this is Edith and Kenneth Myers. All right. They have owned Skinwalker Ranch for 6 decades. Okay. And that's 60 years. That's older than I am. And I got gray hair. And they have said that they went back, that there have never been anything have ever occurred on Skinwalker Ranch in 60 years. Okay, so I'm going to stop for a minute and say, okay, Roderick, maybe they was afraid to tell. maybe the extraterrestrials held their cattle for ransom or something. Maybe that. Maybe they said, okay, you don't say nothing, we're going to steal your chickens. I don't know. Whatever it is, for 60 years, 6 decades, there was no reports of any paranormal activity. None. Zero. Okay. All right. So at this point, the ranch was sold to these people. Terry Gwen Sherman. Okay. They bought the ranch in 1995. All right. So at this point, they are now the new proud owners of Skinwalker Ranch. Now, don't get me wrong. Where we getting ready to go with this plot? I don't think these people were in on it and said, hey, you know what? We're getting ready to just create some stuff. But here's the deal. We're going to, let's make this thing valuable. I don't even know how much they paid for it. In fact, I think either Bigelow or somebody, I think Bigelow, we'll get to that next, paid a few $100,000 for this thing. So I don't know what they bought it from. But regardless to the fact, these people owned it for 6 decades, sold it to these people who owned it, and then all of a sudden, the plot changes. And this is where this whole thing begins to get a little weird, okay? And we're talking in the 90s. So we're past the point of 1930s, 40s, 50s, the Roswell, New Mexico, all of these rumors, Betty and Barnett Hill. We're not rumors, but encounters. We're past all of those things. This is the 90s. So this thing is already, UFO stuff is already a joke now. You don't cover this. You don't put your career on the line for this. You don't do any of those things, okay? But at the end of the day, though, these people, all of a sudden, there was a paper called The Desert or whatever. And this report comes out in 1996, June 29, 1996. The Sherman's 400-acre ranch. And by the way, 400 acres is a lot of ranch. Okay, that's a lot of places. Well, anyway, let's put this back up for you. The 480 acre ranch that the Shermans own has been a hotbed for UFOs and bizarre paranormal activities. Okay, so this is in the paper. So now the word is out. They wrote this thing. Now, I haven't did any investigations, and I have not, and I should. And maybe the Truth Seeker crew will do that, because we into this type of thing, and see if that guy who wrote the paper, who wrote the article, is in relations to those people. Because obviously something started this whole thing. And Ben, if you want to talk about a snowball effect, you want to talk about unintended consequences, you want to talk about the ultimate chess match, the game, and then other people realizing it and getting in on it. And I missed it too. I wish I had wrote a Skinwalker book, because by the time we get through these 2 videos today and tomorrow, you're going to wish you had wrote your Skinwalker book, because everybody else got in on it. I think that's how I feel. And I could be wrong. I'm going to probably be proved wrong by next week, because they got to come back and counter this guy's stuff. They have to. But this is some serious stuff. Well, it's funny, because this ain't the first time that we've been taken on the journey. And let me tell you something. They're good. They were really good. So anyway, we go back to this particular article. Once again, this thing is there. People all over the world is reading it. This is in 1996. At this point, I just got out of high school, so I was 20-something years old. And a young man, and so anyway, this thing is out there. Okay, so there is somebody who is at home, okay, just like me and you, decided that they are going to pick up the Sunday or Monday, Tuesday, whatever, the newspaper, and this gentleman decides he's looking at this, and he's like, whoa, I need to get in on this. And that's the headline. So he's reading it. And he's like, Utah family says UFO regularly visit their ranch. Now, I got to admit something to you. If I had more money than a moneymaker like this guy does, where his money And I'm not saying this guy got $100,000, and that's good money. That is some good money. But he has money that make that kind of money like babies. So he has millions, okay? And when you got millions, oh, scratch that. The dude got billions with a B, okay? And when you're sitting at home reading your newspaper and you at home chilling and you believe in UFOs and you're a billionaire and a family says, I got UFOs on my land and money, and he's Jurassic Park type money, you know, where spare no expense. And that's how he looked at this deal. So he tramples down there and says, I want the ranch. I want it. And so these particular people right here sold him the ranch. They sold him Skinwalker Ranch. And this man bought it, Robert Bigelow. That's who it is right there. And hence, ladies and gentlemen, we have now got the beginning of the Skinwalker Ranch phenomena, that there are so many key players in this thing. There are so many other stuff. Now, I know I've been watching a couple of chats in here. Sonia in the news says she's always speculated a few things. And I'm sure some of you have saw some of these documentaries and the excitement of that. We're going to get into some parts of that, part 2, tomorrow. But in the meantime, we're going to set up the foundation. It's almost like a watching party. You go back. It's 24 minutes. When I tell you, the first video is 24 minutes. And it is 24 minutes of something saying, what? And I could not believe what was happening. And when that guy said, we may have been taken for a ride, I sat there and I was like,
can you say that again? I'm sorry, what?
And he was like, I think people were taken for a ride. And I'm like, no, this can't be happening. We cannot go down this path. We already was talking about the path with, okay, I know if it'll get beat up for this, so I'm going to write it instead of saying it so nobody can say I said it. I'm just going to write it because words have actions, but writing don't seem to bother anybody. Boy, okay, my pen is not working. Okay, maybe it's working. But anyway, when you hear stuff like these particular stories, all right, I'm just going to put it up. That stuff. And we got people, you know, this kind of stuff. That, you see that? Rob, he'll be here in a minute. You see that, Rob? We talk about this all the time. And this thing is no joke. These people are magicians. They're great writers. They think of the story because it's unverifiable. So we're going to think of something ourselves. But anyway, we'll get to that. We'll get it because I'm sure Rob is going to have something to say because he knows who's behind what I'm talking about. And it still ain't in our conversation, but y'all figured it out. But where I'm going with this is the plot began right there. Bigelow bought this thing, okay? Now, here's the deal. There was some true honesty within the Skinwalker phenomena, okay? There was some true honesty, and we're going to get into that in just a moment. But before we do, I want to, you know, give a little shout out to the truth seekers who support the channel, and kind of a little break of what we're doing here. So in the meantime, first I want to thank the truth seekers. If you want to support the channel, you can do that by becoming a member at Buy Me a Coffee with Big Secret, as the word there. These are some of the truth secrets. Now, they're in it for $3 to $5, and then we got executive show producers who help us out, and we can kind of do that as well. And if you want to do that, I want to thank each and every one. But again, the best part about this is that it does help with the business and what we're doing. I've said it before that we have a new journey that we're going to be doing here with Why the Big Secret. And hopefully you go along with that journey with us. And some of the content that you're going to find here is simply in this format here. we're going to have a new conspiracy-themed show that promised to uncover those hidden truths about some of the world's most mysterious phenomena. Now, we're going to talk about secret societies, government secrets, the paranormal, the unexplained, and we're going to explore those wide-range topics that's long been shrouded in secrecy. We're not starting a conspiracy, but in addition to those intriguing mysteries, we're going to investigate those modern-day ones like we're doing right now, and the existence of all those. So if you're ready for some hard-hitting information, some investigations, just in our way, can't wait for you to do that. So in the meantime, you do want to be a part of what we're doing. And so I'm just really kind of like just blown away with some of this stuff. But let's also let you know, let me give you a promo for a show that's now on Forbidden Knowledge TV. That it's an 8-part series. Episode 1 is now airing on the Forbidden Knowledge TV. So let me kind of give you a little promo for that. Hi, I'm Roderick Martin, UFO researcher and field investigator for the highly respected organization called Mutual UFO Network, aka MUFON. I'm going to break down some of the most important UFO and UAP stories and why they create more evidence that we are not alone. If the evidence is so clear, then why the big secret? We're going to answer that in this series. First, let's start with this famous one.
Dude, there's a drone, bro. There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA.
The UFO UAP encounter was a pleasant experience. However, according to the interview with Commander Fravor and Commander Dietrich, they witnessed something unsettling and unexplainable. I want to leave you with this. The eyes are useless when the mind is blind. Think why. Hi, I'm Roderick Martin, and I hope you are enjoying these shows, Why the Big Secret, right here on Forbidden Knowledge TV. Over the past several weeks, it's been some exciting times for us. Why am I excited about that? Because now you can also be seen 100,000 times plus. In fact, we're on track for this year to probably hit 1 million views once all of these shows are being presented on Tuesday nights. May I present to you the partnership of sponsoring Why the Big Secret videos right here on Forbidden Knowledge TV. Yes, you could be one of our sponsors and partners on each and every episode, or maybe a few episodes of some of the guests that we have coming up. Either way, hundreds of thousands of people will see your advertisement right here as you partner with Why the Big Secret on Forbidden Knowledge TV. Advertisement is like a sign for your business, and a business with no sign is a sign of no business. Contact me today. I'm Roderick Martin, so you can sponsor Why the Big Secret videos right here on Forbidden Knowledge TV and be seen by thousands and thousands of people. All right, everyone. That was a mini commercial. Forbidden Knowledge we do on Tuesday night, and we get thousands, 20 and 60,000 views. And so if that's the value, if you want to be and have a business on that show, then I encourage you to sponsor video. You still can sponsor over here too, partner with us. We're growing. I have several new TV shows coming out. We're going to talk about your business and everything else. And if you get in early with me now, and as I grow, I will honor you, because there's going to be 1 million people around here a year to come, because that's where we're going. There's going to be several shows that's coming out. But in the meantime, we're talking about what is going on. We're talking about this particular book that I have. We're talking about this particular videos that is on the basement office. And it's something that we're discussing. And so I definitely want you to get in on it. Now, we talked about this guy here is Stephen Greenstreet and Nick Pope having a conversation, and our conversation is about the background of Skinwalker Ranch, who owns it, who purchased it, where it's going. And as I showed you before, Nick Pope said the only problem is oral history. We talked about who owned it already, which is Edith and Keith Myers. They were the original owners. They owned it for 60 years, 6 decades, and had nothing. In fact, one of the things I want to share with you is it was just so much profound. Check this out, is what he said about that right now.
See a UFO, report a UFO, see anything weird, see anything paranormal, nothing.
And he's talking about when they own this Skinwalker Ranch. I'm talking about restaurant. But the whole point is they hadn't seen nothing. And let me play it again for you. He did some reporting. When these people owned it for 6 decades.
See a UFO, report a UFO, see anything weird, see anything paranormal, nothing.
So what do we think about that as we get ready to go into the second phase of our show tonight? That nobody thought about that. Nobody, and I wouldn't have done that history either. And I don't think you would have done it, because we're all so much fanatics in this phenomenon that we tend to take whatever's been told almost, right? We tend to go with history because we all want to believe we're truth seekers. Well, we wasn't truth seekers enough on that deal, but we want to believe. We do. We just want to believe. And when we have our history of some of these folks that are out here telling us that something is going on, and we trust them, we go out and we buy a plethora of books, okay? So at this point, now the challenge, the game has changed. So we're going to get into the second phase of this, and then we'll bring a few people into the conversation, and we'll talk about it. And again, tonight, I welcome, if you have a camera and you want to have something to say about this topic tonight, we're talking about part 1. I just might welcome you in here to the conversation. But anyway, all right. So I'm reading this, looking at this video, reading some of the comments, and then I started doing some of the research myself. And then I'm like, wait a minute, this guy's right. These people have never reported a UFO in 60 years from Skinwalker Ranch. Okay, now the ranch has this name, this Native American name, and Skinwalker itself has this stories that have been told from tribes to tribes on down into it became legendary. Okay, and what Nick Pope said earlier was the problem. We're only dealing with oral history. I never gave that no thought. I never gave it a thought that we are dealing with that. And how many UFO stories, how many phenomena, ghost story, anything we can talk about are passed down. And now I remember when I was studying storytelling years back, and I wanted to learn how to be a storyteller. I'm sorry. And I don't think I master it. So I'm just doing the best I can now. But when I was trying to learn, it was talking about just being around the campfire and how stories were told years and years and years and years. I see Nicole saying skinwalkers are shapeshifters in a native legend. Okay, now again, we're hearing stories, Nicole. And this was Nick Pope was talking about. These are oral stories. They didn't have a written language back then. So things were passed down through stories and stories and stories. And then, we got the peace pipes and all that stuff. So, but anyway, now at this point, it has evolved itself into American tradition. Okay. And by this time, we got all these new stories of what's going on. So let's get into the second half and continue down this road. So when this story was posted in 1996 in the paper, the desert, whatever, I forget the name. You can look it up. Go ahead. I'm not perfect. And once again, as I said before, this particular guy was reading it. The Utah family, that's the headlines. That's the actual paper there. Saw UFOs regularly visit their ranch. Now, Robert Bigelow has a history of being interested in the UFO stuff, just like you are and I am. But he got money. I'm trying to get y'all to help me get there, and I don't even know if anybody's seen the little changes down there. Support, subscribe, and like. Forget the share thing. Change it up a little bit. Making it real easy. The Cash App is there if you find value. The PayPal is there if you find some value. But anyway, same thing. I want to have income to go research things. So this guy's a billionaire. So he says, I'm going to go buy Skinwalker Ranch. He goes buy it and he starts to investigate it. So like I said, the plot thickens now. And there was a lot of honesty in this thing. So obviously from the rumor has it, I think he paid a few $100,000. Now for 480 acres, shoo, boy, that is cheap. Cheap. You can't even buy an apartment or something around now for 200 G's. Nevertheless, 480 acres of spooky land. Okay, maybe those people, the original people who bought it out of the people, these people, Terry and Gwen said, we need to figure out a way to sell this thing. We got to make it valuable. How do we make it valuable? And let's report something that everybody's talking about. And since it's 480 acres, that's a lot of land. And this guy said it, and they bought it. He bought it. And just like you bought the books, I bought the book. Okay. Oh, don't get me wrong. Let me show you something here. You see this? I just did this on Amazon today. That's page 1. I had 5, 6 pages of this thing. There are Skinwalker books on every letter in the word Skinwalker. Time 3. There's books with S, the K, the I, the N. And okay, I'm going to keep spelling. But the whole point I'm saying is all of these people had wrote books over the tales that we've all heard, but never seen. Your eyes are useless when your mind is blind. In this case, we ain't seen nothing. But we didn't have to. Nobody needs to. We just need to hear it's a good story. Because it's printed in a book, it's got to be authority. They tell you that in business. If you want to become an authority figure, write a book. And just you don't even have to have a bestseller. You just need to say I'm an author. So we used to do that back, training and stuff. So obviously they figure there's no way we were knowing. And like I said, I didn't think about it. There's no, okay, there was a picture, but it was just of the property, nothing of the, and don't get me wrong. This is how good this thing got, ladies and gentlemen. They start talking about werewolves were seen in Skinwalker Ranch, beaver creatures. They were just talking about all of this stuff. But before that happened, listen to me right now. Robert Bigelow, this billionaire, put his money into it, and he hired a team of people. One in particular, we all know, Jack Valet. Okay, but here's a picture: Tim Rhymes, Hal. These are people who was originally investigating Skinwalker Ranch. These are some bona fide people, trusted people. And they was there. Bigelow gave them a blank check like Jurassic Park, sparing no expense. And they went through this thing tooth and nail. Okay. Jacques Valet, and put the picture up again so you can get who I'm talking about. Tim Ryan, Hal, Pothoff, or whatever. These people went through this thing with integrity and came out with this report. Look at this. No UFOs or ETs have dropped at this spooky ranch. This is in 1997. They came back and said it's nothing there. Jacques Valet, y'all know who that is. This guy's no joke. He's the real deal. They said it's nothing there. Somehow between there, then, where they were there, then though, we have gotten to here, where we are now, to where Skinwalker Ranch is spooky Disneyland. So damn spooky. And we'll get into this tomorrow in detail, is that we have $22 million of your money, my money, into investigating this under the illusions of missile threats or whatever they want to call it. We'll get into details tomorrow. And then all the books that were sold, all the documentaries that are being done, and the ones that are currently being done. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Where there have not been any. Now, of course, we got rumors, beavers and werewolf type people, all kinds of stuff. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And we've heard these stories like Micah Myers and Jason and stuff. We took those stories in. and made them part of our lives. And now somebody is debunking it. And why did he do that, man? I don't know. Steven, man, you could have just let us ride, let us believe something. But anyway, if you finding value in the show tonight, make sure you hit that like button. If you want to support the show in real time, we'll definitely, I'll check my little emails and something and see if I was blessed by anyone. At this point, nope, but that's okay. I'm going to still do what I do. I love what I'm doing. But y'all just being here is enough. Your presence is enough. We'll take that as real money. So the whole point is we've been taking on this ride. And like I said, go back to it. And no fault to his, okay? Bigelow was just a curious billionaire. And I would have done the same thing too. I would have done that. I would have bought it too. He hired reputable people, and those reputable people came back and said nothing was found there. Nothing. All right. Okay, maybe they didn't say nothing. They said no UFOs. Does that mean nothing? No UFOs are spooky events. Does that mean nothing? We didn't find anything. Does that mean nothing? But then now today, though, as a folktale or whatever we want to call it, it is the central location for the world's greatest phenomena we ever heard in this ufology. Skinwalker Ranch tops out of every spot. It's on everybody's voice, everybody's tongue, every stories, everything. Have you heard of Skinwalker? What's going on? Is in all the documentaries, movies, all over the place. If this stuff comes out to be true of what this guy has said, and I'm believing him. I'm believing him. Elizabeth, thank you for the $5 chat. All right. Appreciate it. And if this turns out to be true, okay, and all those documentaries are sitting out there. Now, I don't think any of them is sitting here saying that, okay, this is some true actual events. You know how they write it, the disclaimer. This is just showmanship now. If that's the case, and everybody give Elizabeth a shout out in the chat, please, for me, because I haven't seen one of these in a long time, and it just feels so good. Elizabeth, thank you. I mean, I'm just, thank you. Oh, Judy. Judy said, hey, I'm not going to leave it out there by it. All right, then. That's what I'm talking about. She's enjoying the show tonight. Thank you, Judy. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. And I'm going to stop crying. So, all right, let's get back to it. Okay, because I'm hyped. I'm hyped because I've been taking my play care. I've been telling y'all about this. This is Phil. They got the new thing called Think. It's brain food. And this stuff is trip. And I am going to be a distributor of it. So it'll be on the Why the Big Secret website. Pretty soon you can find it. Man, this stuff is hyped. But anyway, listen. So I would have bought it. You would have bought it. And so he did. So we're not going to discount the fact that Bigelow did some real stuff, but like anybody else, there's an investment involved. How do you get your money back, or what can we do? And we'll get into part 2 tomorrow night, and then we'll do our UFO show that we'll talk about the unfiltered opinions, but which we had last week, I think, and there was a debate. We'll get into that. Y'all go back and watch it, and it was a good debate. Good debate for somebody. There was a winner, and. But we're all on the same team, they will say. And we are. But the whole point is this, though. So now we have history. We have books, stories. You're telling the stories to your kids. And I know Nicole is an avid UFO person. And Nicole, correct me. I know she looked over to her son and said, one day, son, I'm going to tell you about Skinwalker Ranch. And pass this legend on. Correct me if I'm wrong, Nicole. Put it in the chat. But the whole point is, I know she's going to pass it on to the next generation, just like they did. Everybody else is doing. But if this turns out to be a sham, which it looks like, because the facts don't lie. The facts is not lying. What do we do about it, though? What do we do? Can we call somebody? Because let me tell you something. We got people in politics. Supposed to be some smart people. See, Nicole said yes. I would tell him. There you go, right there. All right. So we got people that's in politics and all of this stuff that we trust, and these people signed off on a $22 million program for Skinwalker Ranch without no facts or nothing, and not knowing that they're going out to dig deeper into this phenomenon. Because even a billionaire gets to a point, I'm not putting my own money back in this. He OPM this dude, okay? OPM stands for other people's money, by the way, and that's what he did. So, all right, let's move on. So at this point, there's nothing there from these reputable people. This is in the early 90s. And then the plot changes to this first of many books. The Science Confronts the Unexplained Remote Ranch in Utah. Best-selling author of Brain Trust. And look at that circle person there, George Knapp. Oh my God, that's my hero. I'm telling you, if you knew how I would sit at home, and I'm telling, look, listen, let me tell you how I'm serious about this. I used to practice this. Good evening, everyone. You're in the right place at the right time. Broadcasting out of Dallas like an unidentified flying object, blazing over the skies, over your town, your home, slamming into your phones like a supercharged nanoparticle unobtainium. Greetings to all of you from the boldest, baffling, belligerent YouTube channel in the world, creating captive. I mean, that was my George Knapp impression, because that dude is the dude to me, and I bought the books. But I understand, because I'm broke doing what I'm doing now. So you got to find a way to make the money. So I'm down with the program. If that was the case, I'm going to give him a pass for that. Find a way to make the money, but not like this, though. Not like this. So anyway, so George Knapp writes this book. One of many, by the way. And there's so many out there. I just showed you. There's hundreds of them. And to make matters worse, let me stop. Y'all think I'm tripping. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna pause. You know, I got a whole new brand that look at this. Boom. Stand by. Wait a minute. I gotta laugh. But anyway, what I'm saying is this. This you can't make this up. This is the story we need to be working on. So anyway, George Knapp goes on the show. That's what I call this guy, the show. Not him, the show. The show that I don't agree with everything he says, but how he has grown to. The show that inspires me to work hard, to study, to be able to give you something when you come here, so that you say, hey, I like Roderick and I like what he's doing. The show that has millions and millions of people that listen to, that takes you on a journey, okay? And George was interviewed on this show by this guy who I'm going to tell you about. And the guy, which someday I will want to be in a position, and looks at George and he says, where's the freaking evidence? And that's the question that he asked him. And I thought that was really funny. They're in the interview. This is how he does his interview. So if you think I'm not, go look it up. Look it up. And when he asked George, was there any evidence? George said,
Hell no.
That's what he literally said. There was no evidence. All right. There was no evidence of what was going on in Skinwalker Ranch. Okay, let me reveal to you. He was on a Joe Rogan Experience, okay, back in July the 17th, 2020. That's George Knapp. He's a little older now, but I still like him. He was on Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan said about Skinwalker Ranch, and go watch it yourself. Watch the thing tonight anyway. And George says, no, there was, in his voice, no, there was no evidence. But Joe Rogan was like, what the fuck, dude? Y'all wrote all these books. But there's no evidence. There was no evidence. And so, just like Nick Pope says, the problem is only oral history. Just people talking about it. Now, I thought about something in the defense of Joe Rogan, not Joe Rogan, but the Skinwalker Ranch thing or evidence. I start thinking. And I remember being a kid, and this was some years ago. Now I'm 25 times 2 plus 2. So you'll figure it out. I'm a little older now. But there's a kid in every king. So I got a little kid in me, and I still remember this. I remember that there was a time that we used to play this game, and you'll tell something in somebody's ear. Roderick Martin is going to be a great guy. Okay. And he's going to be full of muscles and built like a Greek god or something, you know. And by the time he gets down to the other end of all the kids passing it down, Roderick Martin is overweight. Boom. Okay. But that was true. But the other stuff wasn't true. Obviously, it got passed down. And I'm saying the stuff changes. But they was able to take this into the economy world. And like I said, I wouldn't be talking about this so hard had this guy did not provide some truth in documentation, because documentation beats conversation. So what I'm telling you is only from, you're going to go watch the video yourself and bag up what you're hearing tonight. I'm just giving you a prelim or commentary on the whole thing. Okay. And then we're going to go to part 2 tomorrow. So it's 24 minutes on the first video. 24 minutes on the first video, part 1, which was a month ago, got 200,000 views. He should have 2 million. And then part 2 just aired a few days ago. Real stuff, real stuff. I'm not making this up. And the guy points this out. And he even felt like, man, what can you believe anymore? And I felt the pain when he said that, because I'm thinking the same thing, especially when we had this with Leslie King and that thing that men, you know, that one, when they made it up, some stuff up. Okay, that one, Rob, that one. Okay, they made some of that stuff up too, and sold some books, unverifiable stuff. I'm not saying everything, but they got it down to a point. Okay, so George Knapp, and then he even took it back, Greenstreet, and went back and found the original people. This guy said there was never any signs of UFO activity. There was nothing unequivocally. That's like one of them strong words. Absolutely nothing. And this is the interview with Gath Myers, okay? And he was part of this family who owned it for 60 years, descendants. And he says nothing was there. And does he look like he's freaked out? Does he look like he's in a psych ward because he's done seen, you know, beavers and let me give you a hint. If you watch the second video, you're going to hear stuff like how they were just making stuff up for a paycheck because they got a billionaire fund in it and they want to keep the money coming. We'll talk about that tomorrow, though. We're not going to get into that tonight because that's just not what we're going to get into. All right. So, at this point, there is a plethora of books. So I encourage you to go out and get you a Skinwalker book, because they all should be a book burning process someday. Because if anybody in there wrote a book saying what they know and think they know, we got them. If this stuff turns out to be true. Okay, I'm going to put that disclaimer. If everything in those videos turned out, and I hope I have got to a point where I have, like you said, all I want to do is provide you enough information that you can read. Remember I said that? Something that you can see, hear, to awaken your curiosity to the possibility, well, we talked about UFO, but to the possibilities that these stories are not real. And you go and do the due diligence, look at the facts that the guy provided, because he did not spare none. Okay, he broke it down. He left every gap. He made sure we didn't want to speculate about this, speculate about that. And I'm sitting here talking about it today. Okay. So giving you the enticement to go, and in this book that I have in my hand, they start telling the stories. Now, in the book does not go into a lot of details, because there was already one of these guys saying that some other people was on the game in town. But the bottom on that book, again, co-author at the very bottom, the same place where this one is with the circle, is the same guy. Is this guy who at this point did not come in for the interviews when the guy reached out to him. He denied to, and he's in the news broadcasting, so he ought to know when you get the request, do you show up? And he didn't. Ladies and gentlemen, truth seekers, part 2 about this is going to be tomorrow. I want you to check it out tonight. Just look at it. I put it on there, 24 minutes of your time, but you got to watch part 1 first, okay? And it'll validate some of the things you heard tonight. And so, once again, this is one of those deals that I think is pretty weird with that. With that being said, I'm going to get one of the crew in here with me, and then we'll get everybody together. So in the chat, I know I feel let down. I really do. You can feel the energy, but I got my feel. Okay, that's working. Yeah, that stuff right there. Got my think, my heart food, my gut food, and I'm taking it. But I do feel a little bit, because this is not the first time that this guy has done these investigations. And it makes me wonder with Why the Big Secret to go on a whole new mission, to become like this man, to be better investigative in looking between the lines on all of these stories. It's really inspired me to truly do so. With that being said, let me get Mateo in here first, and we'll talk a little bit here. All right, man.
What's up? How are you?
That's my outline. You've been listening in the back room there. That's my outline, Mateo. And I'm already leaning toward the whole big thing. But if they do not come back and fight what this man done put out here unequivocally, fight it like it was a fake news story, something, I'm going to be pissed. Okay? That's all I got to say. Go ahead.
No, this is a big deal. There is a lot at stake. Excuse me. Every owner of Skinwalker is a different chapter in this story, as you, I'm sure you will agree.
After Bigelow tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not going to talk about the current owner since that's tomorrow.
We'll do it tomorrow. Yeah.
But and by the way, I personally don't have a decision on what's going on with the current owner either. But what's happened before, when Bigelow owned it through 2004, and when he shut down his own program, and then what happened after that, when the first book came out in 2005, which I'm a little more familiar with, The Hunt for the Skinwalker, that was also entirely anecdotal or oral, as Nick Pope put it.
Yeah.
And then you went all the way to 2016 and nothing really happened until Brandon Fugel bought it. And then that's a whole new chapter we'll cover tomorrow night. So my take on this is, I think Bigelow was being honest. He was being misled because his team wasn't telling him what was really going on. Jacques Vallée and Hal Puthoff were legit, but there were other people who were informed, who were part of his team that were supposed to keep him informed. And I think they were feeding him some misinformation because they knew that if there wasn't anything exciting going on, it was going to be game over and they would all be out of a job.
Yeah.
But it's all very weird, right? The whole OSAP, ATIP, whatever you want to call it, $22 million, it gets appropriated.
American dollars,
and Robert Bigelow is the only bidder, and he gets the contract from the U.S.
We're going to talk about this tomorrow. We're going to get it tomorrow.
That's a strange thing. Sorry, but that's all very strange to me. And I have a hard time with the fact that during these first two, Bigelow's era, there wasn't any evidence that to be seen, and it makes you really wonder why the change. Yeah, it makes you ask why. Like, what happened in '95 when the Shermans bought it, and then what happened in 2016, which we'll talk about tomorrow night. It's very weird.
Let me
so that's my take on it, and I know it's more questions than it is answers. But
oh my God,
you said you want to seek the truth. We're the truth seekers. You said you want to be more like what's going on. You already are, Roderick. You're already doing the right thing. You've been seeking the truth since the beginning, and this is another case.
It is, and not just the truth. Why the big secret? right?
Mm-hmm.
It's past the truth. But anyway, Kristen sent some money to PayPal, and he said, I will put my money, and he sent a whopping support. Thank you, Kristen. He says, I will put my money that Skinwalker Ranch is legit, but not on the monster stories. That is correct. That land is there. It's there. It's been done by surveyors and everything. 480 acres. It's legit. Skinwalker Ranch does exist. If that's what he's saying, if we was in a court of law, yeah. But
Mm-hmm. I have a theory we'll talk about tomorrow night on the whole Uinta Basin, which includes Skinwalker and Blind Frog and all those places. I have a theory as to what may be going on there, but that's I'll share that tomorrow. But yeah, there's something going on, but what was written about,
we'll bring it back.
Was that you got to follow the money. And, it's really what really hurts me the most, and I'm sure you'll agree, is George Knapp.
Man, you heard
that hurts. That hurts. Because
that hurt. Hang that. We'll get back to that in a minute. Hang on. I'm going to bring you back
from Rob.
In a minute. Yeah, we'll hear from Rob, and then I'll get both of y'all.
I want to hear what he has to say.
I'm putting George Knapp right here because we're going to make sure we bring him back in this conversation before we leave tonight, because that is a huge blow. But hang around, okay? All right. So just like y'all heard Mateo, and he gave you some hints what we're going to be talking about tomorrow, the current owner, okay, and what's going on there. So you make sure y'all come back tomorrow night just to hear our viewpoint on tomorrow when it gets down to this. And I think it's just kind of one of those deals. But once again, I want to thank that support. And if you want to find a way to support, that's right there in front, the Cash App or PayPal, and I'm glad that he used it. Subscribe to the channel if you have not. Support us, like. But in the meantime, Rob, you know what's going on, man, and you heard the disappointment in my whole outline tonight. In fact, I know you were telling the group to watch it. You had some detail. Like I said, we're not going to get into some of the things we talk about. It's going to be on tomorrow's show when we get into the history, and hint, use that first word of what's going on here. But let's just start with video one. What not so much what because you saw what I saw, and some of the things I know. How you feel about all that?
Well, I mean, let's go back. Like I said, let's just talk about the Myers. Now, if we look at it from 1930 until now, it's been about 90 years that we'll say covering the ranch. 60 of those years, actually Bigelow as well, the time he was there. So we'll say 70, close to 80 years. Nothing going on the ranch. Nothing at all. The whole Skinwalker thing has to do with the Navajo Indians and their a belief that they have of these witches that shapeshift into other beings, which is what they call skinwalkers. So to me, it just seems like a case of, once again, plagiarizing topics and ideas from our Native Americans and capitalizing off of it, which I know that goes into a lot more of what we'll talk about tomorrow. But you have to just look at, I'm just a realist. I believe in a lot of these things. I believe in the Native Americans and the Skinwalker. There's a lot of tales of all sorts of different entities, and I don't think it's specific to any borders or boundaries. So when we talk about one place called Skinwalker Ranch, we're just talking about really entities that exist maybe here on Earth, period, and not specific to any Skinwalker Ranch. So I'm going with the Myers and their 60 years of living there, where they say nothing. I mean, they've slept there, they've eaten there, they've lived there, they've played there, laughed, I'm sure a lot of other things there, and they have not one instance of what's being reported in these recent shows that we have on TV.
All right, hang on a minute, Rob, and I'll get you and Mateo back here in just a minute. Appreciate you. You know, Shadi, I put your comment up because not only, you know, you're part of the Truth Seeker community. And you said, when did we become extreme debunkers? We're not debunking anything. The problem with this is that if this whole thing has shaped our whole community, ufology, even to a point where if the evidence shows that they made this up and we still want to believe something is happening there, that's the problem that we have. And I've said it before all the time that when I get UFO reports, I got to analyze the witness first, because you got to understand the history of the witness. If they're not saying this, or they've done this, or they've drank, or there's so many other aspects in just saying I saw a UFO or extraterrestrials. In this case, and you got to remember, if they done it once, they'll do it again. Okay, Shadi. So let me point this out to you. We all know that they shammed the government out of $22 million. Because if you go back to the history of the stories, when they wrote that program up, they left out all the Skinwalker anomalies and phenomena out the report to get the $22 million. The government did not give $22 million to go investigate werewolves. They found out that they got hoodwinked in doing that, and they canceled the program. So if they did it once, they'll do it again. So we're not here to debunk. I am all for ufology. I'm down with the program, but I will get pissed off if it's in my history that even Roswell, New Mexico, was to be all the way, they came out tomorrow and say, you know what, we just made this up. And as much as we done talked about all the books, the whole community, which by the way, that's not going to happen. That ecosystem down there for the Roswell story is well monetized. Okay. So I'm not coming at you, but I'm just saying this is the point that we have to look into. And it could be any little weird thing. There was a light flickered a while ago. Could have been a ghost. All right. So I'm just saying that particular. Let's get both of the guys in here. And I got a couple of questions that we will have. And if anyone else got any comments, put it in the chat. If you want to support the show. And if I gave you some value tonight or did anything, please support. And I say that. And we'll talk about real quick. If you have not gotten your hat, we got a few of these left. Boom. Why the big secret hat? $20, $25. It's support the channel too. So you get a hat and support the channel. All the books went out today. I had one returned. So these are going out. And we can kind of put that in perspective. So, all right. So let's do this now. All right, fellas. We got both of you here. I'm gonna bring it back. And it's not like they don't know each other and don't talk. I don't get that part. I don't. That's why y'all hear me say when I bring Mateo, what's going on, man? Like we ain't talked in a whole week, and we text a while ago because we part of the team. And then him and Rob don't help create some of this stuff, and they don't talk, but then they act like they ain't met. See, that's the Skinwalker stuff I'm talking about. We cannot be doing this, fellas.
I haven't seen
Rob.
my brother.
I take that back.
I don't want to say
brother.
Y'all know each other.
Since two nights ago when we talked after the show. That was the last time.
Okay, that's all I'm saying. You know, we just, what's up, man? Like,
hello, everybody. Hello, Rob. Hello, Roderick. Sorry, Roderick.
No
We're
problem.
not making this up. This is genuine camaraderie here.
Yeah.
And,
all right.
And before you ask the first question, I just want to just because you brought up the comment from Shadi as far as debunkers. We're definitely not debunkers.
No, we're not.
I think what it is that, you know, I'm definitely a believer in what's going on right now, but I'm a person that likes to have proof. And I think proof is the key. Like when we talk about Skinwalker Ranch, we just don't have that. We don't have photos. We don't have videos. We don't have true scientific results when it comes down to Skinwalker Ranch. So I think you should be a little skeptical when you have 90 years of supposed activity at this place and you don't have any proof of it. I mean, we have to go with proof, ladies and gentlemen. But I am a believer, never a debunker, but I'm not, you can't just give me anything and expect me to swallow it. So
yeah, I mean, and we all seen the show. We've seen the show. You are not the father, because they want proof. They got a whole talk show of proof. In fact, our whole legal system is all about evidence and witnesses and everything else. You can go to prison for life if somebody say, I saw what happened. And the fact that there's not been real proof on Skinwalker Ranch is it. All right. So real quick, Mateo, let me bring this up. It's not a mug shot. It's just a shot. You said about a little disappointment that you had. All right. Me too. Let's go into that. George Knapp.
Yeah, he was behind both of the books, and there's a lot of stories in the books that we talked about, all the cryptids and the dino beaver and all that stuff. And both books, especially the second one, talks a lot about them going out with the intent of taking pictures, and they never took anything that I know of. Now, this is before 2016. So why the big secret? If you've got all this stuff, why didn't you show it? And that makes me wonder. And George kind of got put on the spot there on that one talk show, and he had to fess up and say, well, there really isn't any proof. And what does that say about what they wrote in the books? That's all. Yeah. It's a little tough at that point. It's a tough pill to swallow. What do you think, Rob?
No, I totally agree with you. It was definitely a shock to me to see him 180 on or actually just contradict his own claim of all this anomalous activity happening at that ranch. Like I said, I totally believe in the Navajo Native American stories of skinwalkers, and then definitely maybe something that happens in that area. All we ask for is the proof. George Knapp has been a staple of this movement since Bob Lazar. He's always, in my eyes, been a trustworthy person. When he delivers a word, you expect it to be, taken seriously. And it's just when you get yourself wrapped up in these contradictory stories, then now all of a sudden, we have to look at you more than once and say, okay, am I being told the truth here?
Yeah. I mean, and I think, and what surprisingly enough, though, I have a strong feeling, even if this stuff is not, have a rebuttal, or they don't rebuke it, or however we want to say whatever they're going to do, we're still going to have a group of people in our community that's going to defend Skinwalker to a T, to a letter. And I say this is because they want to believe.
I want to believe. I honestly do. And I don't like being faced without, I don't like being in a situation where we don't have anything to hang our hat on, so to speak, as far as proof. It leaves you kind of wondering. Now, there's something going on there, but it sure seems like we should know a little bit more by now. And we're going to talk more about tomorrow night. But there should be more, right? Goodness. There's a lot of years there. A lot of money.
and they call it the Disneyland of the phenomenon. So I've never been to Disneyland, and I want to go so bad. I really do. So imagine the Disneyland of paranormal. I mean, we take that to a whole nother level. So who is going to say, no, man, y'all making this up. This is not true. And like I said, ladies and gentlemen, truth seekers, and whoever you may be, that guy, this guy, these two people, they went into the detail. He didn't make none. He went into it. And in these two videos, you go, it's 28 minutes, 48 minutes of your time. Go to YouTube, check it out tonight. And then tomorrow, the other one. And so we can talk, you can have something to say tomorrow. Look at the facts that he presented and follow the story. I promise you, if I have the skill to be able to tell a story like this man did in 24 minutes in those videos and give you the visuals the evidence, the conversations, I'm gonna learn. I left that last night like, I want to do that too. Same thing with George Knapp, So Rob, I think it's gonna be a real good dissension in the community of ufology. It's gonna be parting of the seas if this thing and Skinwalker, the fabric of what we talk about the most, comes apart. It's not gonna be pretty. And you're talking about all the documentaries out there, and I know you want to talk about, we're going to talk about that tomorrow, because you told me there's one out there that is, he going to bring it down, like you said. So we'll get into that. Hint tomorrow. Y'all make sure to come hear Rob's story of bringing it down. But Rob, it's big. Go ahead.
No, I mean, it's just, it's like Mateo said. I mean, I want to believe too. I mean, I believe that we're being visited by ET. I believe they're here. I believe they're under the water. I believe in, the paranormal things do happen and go on. I just don't like, I don't like the fact these things are all off the back of Native American legend and tales, which I totally believe and I take to heart. But when it seems like you're trying to capitalize off of that, I mean, the ranch wasn't even named Skinwalker Ranch. They named it that to associate it with these entities, and they trademarked it. Fugal, put up barricades and all sorts of things blocking access to the ranch after he purchased it. If you really look at it, and like I said, Greenstreet did a very good job breaking all this down. If you go and watch that, you'll begin, if you hadn't questioned it before, you'll begin to question it. You know what I mean? And it's just really looking at what the reality is of it, what the facts are. There are no facts. There are none.
I think what I'm not saying, for everybody to hear me say this, and I look at some of the messages in the chat, we're not saying that there's not no strangeness there. Strangeness everywhere. Radiation. We're talking when it gets deep to these werewolves and big beaver monsters and all that stuff walking around this place. That's what I'm talking about. The books. Yeah, we can put some Geiger counters and gigameters and all these things and oh shit, something's there. I'm not saying that kind of anomalies and all that stuff. I'm saying the things that's walking around, though with silver bullets, got to kill them. That stuff. Make no mistake about it. It's in the books, and y'all read it. That's been there, and it was in the government reports. Taxpayers' money, UFO taxes. I'm just saying those things. Okay. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying about all the other stuff. Okay.
Yeah, where are the photos? Where are the pictures? Fugels had cameras on site for a long time. We should be able to see something. We should see something at this point. And for Bigelow, a lot of people give him a lot of heat because they say, "Oh, he hasn't released his information." Have you ever thought that he didn't have any real information to provide? Which would be a reason why.
It'd be like church. I'm about to close. You could stop that now. But here's the other part of this. I didn't pay attention because this stuff is happening in real time. There was a big argument about Skinwalker Ranch with Greenstreet and a lot of them back on Twitter some months back. Okay. So there's going to be a part 3 where Greenstreet goes out to Skinwalker Ranch. Because I remember, because we have the same agent, Greenstreet, Nick Pope and I, we all have the same TV agent and talent agent. And they was talking about how he was invited out there. This was months ago. I knew about, but I didn't put all this together, right? Because I'm not in that thing. But now at the end of the second video, he shows how but I remember back then, because my agent said, oh yeah, he invited him out there. So obviously the new guy, we ain't got to say his name until tomorrow, knew Greenstreet as an investigative reporter probably told him, hey, I'm working on something. I'm about to kick y'all with this deal. So he's like, no, because I've seen something myself. The new owner, remember, he's claiming, come on out here, man, before you break down my money tree. I don't know, whatever.
He's going.
So he went. Yeah, he actually, part 3 comes out. He went and spent the night out there. So we'll see that. Now I'll be shocked if he come back and say everything I said in the first 2 video was wrong. Oh my God, I got attacked.
It's real. Yeah.
It followed me home. Remember, it attacked my kids and don't go there. Guys,
well, that's one of the important things here. We need to weigh all the evidence. You know, we just can't take what Greenstreet says as gospel. We can't say
or anyone
in the books as gospel. We have to look at the facts. We're talking only up to 2016 right now because things changed dramatically in the past few years, especially since 2020. And I know you're saying that, Roderick, but I'm just letting everybody in the team know we're truth seekers. We're trying to find that truth. And there's you got to make your own opinion based upon all the evidence.
I'm not going to walk back though, Mateo.
No, I agree. We're not walking back anything because the books had stuff in it that's clearly not proven.
That's my point. And he provided enough evidence to let us know there's something wrong there.
Right.
So
people need to know we're only talking about those books right now, not the TV series yet.
The stories and all of that stuff. And there's been a bunch of TV documentaries, but
individual ones too, leading up to the one that everyone's most familiar with.
Yeah, I'm just saying that I don't think if he stopped right here, if he did not another video, I'm convinced that there was a lot of foul play enough already, because I've always had speculations because I'm in the business, right? I'm always want to see the evidence, but I believe in the stories, but I did not dawn on me that I'm so inundated with the stories that I never saw the evidence. Facts tell, stories sell. We all know this. It's in the business. It's the mantra. Facts tell, stories sell. I was sold on the stories. All right, guys, so we're going to get out of here in just a minute. I appreciate y'all. Y'all can say on the camera like y'all didn't know each other tonight. And all that stuff. Go ahead, do y'all thing.
Have a good night, Rob.
Yeah, you too, Mattel. Take care, man.
All right. Thanks.
That's the crew. And we talk and everything else. But I hope tonight's show will get you to a point to where, once again, you're going to watch those documentaries. You're going to see everything, and you're going to look into it. As always, as I always said, your eyes are useless when the mind is blind. And it's time to think why. We got to think into the curiosity of things. Excuse me. Once again, the Cash App is at the bottom. If you want one of these hats, we got a couple left, a couple other things. Cash App, and put it in the description there, your address and everything else. All right, $20. Get the hat, and Mateo will ship it out to you. I think we got 2 or 3 left. And anybody who supports the channel tonight, I want to thank you for that as well. And pretty much from there, if you got a business and you want to be a sponsor of Why the Big Secret and partner with us as we're growing, and we are growing, definitely do that. And as always, if you did not have enough Skinwalker stuff, there's a lot of books on Amazon. This is just one screenshot of 10 or 15 Skinwalker, and there was 2-3 other screens. So definitely go get your dose. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about the part 2 of this video. So I encourage you, if you want to get into it, definitely do that. So Mateo said there's 3 hats, 1 bandana, and a skull cap. As y'all seen, they always wearing the stuff. And so as models, modeling the gear for you. So we have some good models and everything else. I would get creative and take a vote. Who looks good? Rob looked good in his cap, or Mateo, because they really had it out last week. Go watch the video. Tomorrow, again, we're going to have UFO Friday, and that's our, acronym for unfiltered opinions. But that'll be the second half after we go with video 1, even if we have time to do that, because it's so juicy tomorrow and everything else. So with that being said, only thing that I will tell you is this. The video that you saw tonight, again, is some of those opinions of mine and mine only. That's my thing. Because I am a fan of what's going on out here. I'm into this. I was disappointed when I watched those videos to the facts that was given. So you probably see that expression in me tonight. You probably see the energy into that. Rob has his opinion, Mateo, and does not reflect on the industry. This is why the big secret. We're just going on a journey and we're looking for the truth. But if it don't add up, it don't add up. Okay. So don't take it, but then you have an opportunity as truth seekers yourself to go look at the videos, then go do the research too. You go look up the research and you go look up the history of when these people had it for 60 years, nothing happened. These people got it. All of a sudden, UFOs happen. This guy bought it. Okay, that's fine. He bought it. Then these people investigated. Nothing was there. So that's still the truth. This guy started writing stories, presenting books, and which led into all of these books and all of this stuff, which led us to today as a community talking about this thing. And so with that being said, that's one of the things that I want to point out. So I'm Roderick Martin. I love each and every one of you. Hopefully you share these videos, subscribe to the channel, support the channel once again if you can. But being here is enough. And we'll be back tomorrow at 8 p.m. Okay, with part 2. And we'll be there. So with that being said, later for you. We're out.